I'm here with Lisa Kendall, therapeutic art and life coach. Lisa, tell us about your journey, please, your journey to healing and healing others.
Thank you, Abigail. So my journey started, um, long before I ever actually went on a journey of discovering through chronic pain. I would say when I was in my early 20s, I became very interested in both astrology and in personal development and self-help. I was introduced to the work of Tony Robbins and Stephen Covey, and just had an awareness of there being something more to life, something greater. Um, I went on to college and then to have kids young. And I always worked in artistic realms, different jobs that allowed me to express myself creatively. But around the age of 35, I started experiencing chronic pain that began to affect me on a daily basis. And what I discovered was that after taking a period of time away from painting, which was really my true love in terms of art, I returned to painting. It had been probably about 10 years, and I learned how to create abstract art. I took art classes and went back to the art store and pulled out different materials. And it's funny because I had always thought about doing it, but it had took me a lot of years to actually go back to buying the materials, getting on the floor, getting messy. But what I realized was through creating art, I could manage my pain. And it sort of opened up a world of possibility to me. I realized that if I could manage my own pain through creating art, if I could lower my own cortisol levels, what were the implications for what my life purpose was going to be, and how could I help others also potentially heal and manage their pain? And so I went on to get certified as a therapeutic art and life coach. And I now help others heal through art. And it's been super rewarding and fulfilling. I'm also the facilitator of women's circles at a place called Studio 52 here in Chicago, where we bring women together in conscious connection. Women get an opportunity to connect to themselves, connect to other women, and connect to something greater in the universe. And there's no time like the present to provide a place of connection and belonging amongst women. I think, after the last 3 years where there's been so much disconnection and so much fear, I think that it's necessary for us to thrive and to be our healthiest selves, that we feel connected to other human beings, right? Isolation isn't good for anybody, and we really saw proof of that over the last number of years. So along with my private coaching clients, I work at Studio 52, and like I said, as a women's circle facilitator. And I find that juggling between the two just keeps me fired up and charged and really passionate about what it means when we hold space for other people, when people are seen, when people are heard, when people are witnessed. There's an intrinsic healing that happens. And I'm excited about the work that I do every day, and excited to be able to share it with you.
Amazing. So listening to all of that, I want to go into different parts of it. So when you started to heal people through art, what do you see when you work with them? What is there some sort of transformational process? Can they do art before they start? Are they just, how does that work?
Yeah, so the art piece is really non-threatening. I always tell people before starting therapeutic art is that, there are no art skills required. If you can write your name, if you can draw lines and shapes and use some colors, you can do therapeutic art. Therapeutic art is not about any sort of process-oriented art or about the outcome, and having some sort of masterpiece. It's really about allowing thoughts that are in both your subconscious and conscious mind to land on paper and allow for clarity, allow for aha moments. And what I find is I'm able to use my intuition to ask the right question or provide the right prompt. And I ask the question, and this question is typically around where I sense a person is getting stuck. And so that way, within the therapeutic art, my clients are solving their own problems, right? I'm just providing them with a question and an opportunity for reflection.
So are there moments when you can really see them develop?
Yeah, it's amazing. With most of my clients, what I like to do is really go back and sort of uncover the blocks first, right? We all are raised with a set of parents that are doing the best that they can with the knowledge that they have. And we end up taking on a lot of their belief systems. And what happens as we get older into adulthood, we realize that we're actually separate from them and their belief systems aren't necessarily our own. And it's in this awareness of why our operating system looks the way it does that we can start to break down misconceptions about how we need to operate in the world. And so I take my clients through a process of really reflecting and then reframing, but also seeing where those reflections show up in their day-to-day life. And then we get to reevaluate as adults, do I want to keep this or do I want to get rid of it because this is a narrative or a storyline or a perception that I don't really believe anymore. And when my clients get to a place where they're actually pausing in their thought process and they're actually thinking about what they say or thinking what they're going to do from this place of the big picture, evaluating, is this mine? Is this from my parents? Are these societal influences? When they can start to break apart the barriers of where these things are coming from, they're really able to move forward in a very authentic and aligned way that feels like the person they're meant to be.
That's really good. I want to ask about that. So is this the first time they've ever really broken down their thought processes or even acknowledged that this is what they're thinking?
I would say that most of my clients have done therapy before. And for whatever reason, traditional therapy was not their jam. It just didn't do what they had hoped it was going to do, or it maybe didn't take them as far along in the process. One of the reasons why I'm such an advocate of life coaching is that it's very forward thinking. We inevitably reflect on our past and where our habits and patterns come from. But in life coaching and therapeutic art coaching, it's really about how to move forward in the best way.
Yes, I understand that completely because I did life coaching training as well. And I really enjoyed the way it was not about sitting in your problem. It was about moving you forward. So I'm really interested in the art aspect of that. So people being free to create. And I suppose they're getting in touch with their subconscious and their dreams. And if you could talk more about that, that would be great.
Yeah. So, what the art does so many different things at the same time. First of all, research has shown that when we make art, we lower our cortisol levels. So right away, we're going into this meditative, almost like a trance-like state when we're creating art because we're so relaxed. When we're in this relaxed state, it's when ideas and thoughts and intuition can come in. In our society, we're taught to be busy, taught to be productive, and so often we're not able to think clearly at the pace we're moving at. So the notion of slowing down and taking this time for yourself to create this art allows for some quiet, some space. And then again, with the right prompts that are facilitated, there can be so many aha moments, so many discoveries. There's also some magic that happens anytime we put pen to paper or art supplies to paper. It's much like the concept of journaling, right? When we write things down, when we draw things, there's a release. We're then no longer holding thoughts or ideas in our body. You and I know that everybody holds on to trauma, thoughts, life events on a cellular level. One of the ways in which we can process them is through therapeutic art. So it not only serves as an opportunity for aha moments, but you're also releasing that which you no longer want to hold inside.
I want to do it. I'm listening to you thinking, oh,
It's a
let me get
marker.
my
Let's
hands in
go.
that paint. So when you speak, what comes across is that you're very kind and compassionate and empathetic, but also I think you allow people to be themselves. Is that right?
Oh, that is so right. It's so clear to me that we are all here on a very individual soul journey, and no two journeys or life experiences are alike. And it's so important that as humans and as friends and as clients, that we all meet each other where we are. There's no race, there's no finish line. It's about living your experience in the most true and authentic way to who you are. And so, I really believe that when people come to me, they're already whole, right? I'm just highlighting how they can turn on the light bulb for their own healing, their own path to self-love, their own journey to purpose. I'm really just there to hold space and help them reframe and help encourage them along their way so that they can stay on their path.
That was such a perfect comment. It's just every part of it was perfect. I like that feeling that there's no race, because we're all constantly bombarded with the idea of competition and race, and it's so ludicrous because nobody comes onto their journey in life from the same place. So what is this race? It doesn't make sense. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think this concept of competition or of race gets ingrained in people at a young age, right? Where kids are taught that they're good if they achieve in school, if they do well in school, if they're the best in school. I always say that I would like to write a new world curriculum in which we highlight the class on self-love and the class on how to build a kind community and the class on how to, balancing your checkbook would probably be a good one too, just like it's some real functional life skills. And I think that, the race and the competition is with ourselves. Can we be better tomorrow than we were today? Can we learn more tomorrow than we have today? I mean, that's where the real competition lies, is can you become a better and better and better version of yourself as you evolve and as you just learn to be you.
Learn to be you. That's the point, isn't it? The more we step into who we really are, and the more comfortable we are in who we are, with warts and all, with all the problems, with our limitations or great bits, the easier it is for everyone around us to be in our presence.
It's true. Our own passion and our own will to live in a way that feels authentic to us, it does exactly that. It gives other people permission to do that for themselves.
So taking that, all of that, the way that you see life and seeing how people can be guided to their own truths about themselves, How does that translate in what you're doing with the women's group? I want to know more about that because it looks really exciting. And I love the fact you've called it, what was it, Studio 50?
Studio 52.
Like
Yeah.
Studio 54, the disco
Yeah.
place. I love that.
It's sort of a nod and about a Studio 54. My co-founder Rachel and I are in a vintage apartment in Andersonville. The address starts with the number 52. And my business partner Rachel was 52 as we launched this business. So it's a nod and about a Studio 54. It's a place where you're seen for who you are, right? Just like Studio 54, you showed up in all of your grandness and wildness, and you were just accepted. And we embrace that same notion. Just show up as you, be unapologetically you, and let's just have real conversation. Let's have fun. Let's laugh, and let's open ourselves up to possibility. And so we do this through a variety of modalities. We use a lot of ritual and ceremony. We open every women's circle by lighting a candle. We pull a card to get grounded. We have a lovely feather. We go around in circle, and there's no pressure to say more than what you're comfortable with, but people like to share. And what I see in our groups that sign up to do 8 weeks at a time together is they actually want to share. They want that time, and these women build a friendship and a trust and a reliance on one another to really navigate life through. And so we also do some somatic movement. We're really big believers in that if things are not released through the body on a cellular level, that we hold them inside. So somatic movement's a big part of our practice. We do therapeutic art. So we often say that it feels like a mini retreat, or like a women's day at summer camp. It's some different activities. It's a lot of conversation, and you just walk in and you feel good. The vibration of the space is really high. We always smudge it and make sure that it's filled with clear energy. There's a lot of art that's in the studio. A lot of different local artists have come together and put their paintings up on the walls. And so it's a really warm and inviting and really special, feels like a very sacred space to us. And I think the women who are participating really feel that.
And about how many women are coming to each group? Is it a range of numbers or?
Yeah, I would say anywhere from 6 to 12. We intentionally keep the groups intimate because I feel that it creates a safe space for safe conversation. And so we don't want that getting lost by having too many people in the room. I would say between 6 and 12 is our sweet spot.
Perfect. And I think, do you sometimes do events where you open it up to more people?
We do. We have evening events where we'll do more of an open house where people can just sort of see the space and sort of envision what we do together as a group. We've done day retreats. Again, it caps out at about 10 to 12, just so it can remain intimate. But there's a variety of things we offer. We offer drop-in workshops. Sometimes we'll do a 4-week workshop that's based on a book. So it feels like a book club, but it's also a personal development journey. And we love to invite in healers and practitioners who can show our women and show our community that there are other ways of just going down a healing journey or a healing path. We just did a great segment on the entire chakra system, and that was really fun. People could really begin to think about where they're in alignment, where they're out of alignment, which one of their chakras needs extra TLC, and what practices could be incorporated to really remain balanced, mind, body, spirit.
And do you have some women that come to you who've never heard of things like chakras, who've never gone on a spiritual path before?
Yes, we want to make this accessible to all women, regardless of where you are on your spiritual journey. So there's a lot of women who had never even heard of the chakra system when we started this, but they had been to events with us previously and just loved the energy. They loved the component of learning, and all of them, have signed up to do it for another 8 weeks, and we'll pick another topic. But it's just it's such a eye-opening experience, I think, at middle age, to be able to walk into a room of women where you may or may not know anyone. You have something new that you're learning. It's exciting. It feels different. I think it's really life affirming when we get out of our routine. It's so often it can feel like Groundhog's Day, like every day, we go to work, we tend to the kids, or maybe we're caretakers for parents. We grocery shop, we make dinner, rinse, repeat, right? And so one of the things that I think is really special about this is it just takes people outside of their day-to-day routine.
And you say middle-aged, but when you have your open house events, are you getting a bigger range of women coming to those?
Yeah, I would say that the majority of the women that come to us range between 40 and 60. However, there are people on both ends of the age range, and my hope is that the longer we're in business, the more age diversity we will have present at every workshop, because I think that the wisdom that we all learn from each other at different ages is actually quite spectacular.
Absolutely. And it keeps coming to mind, it's sort of like a sacred sisterhood.
Yeah, yes, that's what it feels like, Abigail. It's exactly what it feels like.
And I like that idea of knowledge being passed down through women.
We always say that we come to learn, but it's also very much a wisdom circle, right? Everybody has different life experiences, and the wisdom that has been shared amongst the women, there's so often a time when we'll be sitting in circle and a woman will explain something she's going through, and she'll look to the circle and say, if anybody has words of wisdom, please share. And this person and that person might have experienced this 10 years earlier, and all of a sudden you have this knowledge being gained through your sisters, through these women who are live in the same city as you do, or not, right? They might be virtual, they might be in person, but there's this sense of kinship and this sacred femininity that I think feels very tended to at Studio 52.
I love that. And what was I just thinking something? How does this impact their relationships with their partners, if they've got kids, with their kids, or in the workplace? Have they talked about that?
They have. And what's amazing is, sometimes we hold our workshops, we call them salons, women's salons. We hold them for 2 hours at a time. And sometimes people are really hesitant to take 2 hours out of their day. Our time is all super precious, and we're all juggling many things. And what the women who have taken the time to do this say is that those 2 hours a week trickle into every facet of their lives. And they really have started to look at it as essential for their self-care and their well-being. And so, I think that's why women, once they do it, tend to come back, because they see that it helps them in their communication. It helps them in their maybe there's less negative self-talk. There's maybe an increase in self-care. There's just different shifts and ways of viewing things that get impacted because of these 2 hours that are spent really intentionally.
And what about you? How is it impacting you?
It feels like the most humbling honor to hold space for people who are just stretching themselves, whether they're stretching themselves by trying something new and just showing up, or they're stretching themselves because they're being vulnerable and seeking support. It feels like an honor and a privilege to be able to hold that kind of space for people, and I don't take it for granted. I feel like all of the work that I've done on both myself and the work that I've done in my training as a life coach has led me to this place where I've become a trusted confidant for people who are navigating sometimes really difficult things in their lives. And I feel honored to be able to be in that role. And at the same time, I'm also acutely aware that if I want to maintain the energy to do it, I need to be really careful about my own boundaries and about how I tend to my own self-care, and make sure that I'm not, taking on too much, and that I'm still allowing myself to keep things in balance as best as I can.
And how do you think it's changed you on a really personal level, though? Do you feel more confident or clear? What's happened there?
I think there's a confidence and a clarity that are there, but I think those are a result of believing in my ability to coach and hold space for others. I think that, a few years ago when I started this, there was definitely some imposter syndrome. Who am I to be taking on this role? Why do I think I'm going to be good at doing this? And I think that if I look back on my life, I was always the person who people confided in and came to for advice. I was I was one who was always seeking out more knowledge, seeking out more learning. And I do think for a long time, I was afraid to voice my opinion of how the world made sense to me. But the deeper that I went into my own healing and my own learning, it confirmed so much of the way I believe and the way I think about how we grow, how we heal, and how we get past our stuckness or past our obstacles.
And does it make you happy?
I get an incredible amount of joy from the work that I do. It makes me really, really happy. I'm at a point in my life where I have two kids in college and one child who's a junior in high school, and being a mom has always been my most favorite job. And I think that I think there would be a profound sadness of them moving on to next stages of their lives if I didn't have something that excited me on a daily basis. And so I'm really grateful that, in my mid 40s, I was able to reinvent and recreate myself in a way that feels so meaningful and exciting. I feel like every day is a new opportunity to learn, to create something, to bring ideas to the forefront. And I think I thrive when I'm in a space of creative thinking. And this job allows me to do exactly that.
And this is going to be the last question. What would you like to see more of in the world now you're working with groups and seeing the profound effect of people coming together and sharing knowledge and sharing wisdom?
Yeah, I would love to see wisdom circles popping up in every city all across the world. I would love people to be parts of communities that really felt like they were living and navigating life together, much like our tribal ancestors, really. I think there's a push to return to some old wisdom and old tradition. And part of that is really living in community again, living, supporting friends and family in a way that we really haven't maybe seen so much, especially over the last 3 years. I think the world could use a lot of community, a lot of love, and a lot of acceptance.
That's a really beautiful answer. Thank you, Lisa. It's a
Thank you,
beautiful
Abigail.
interview. Loved every
Thank
second.
you. Thank you for the time.
Okay, say that again, Lisa, this last part. Carry on.
If I could write a prescription for the world, it would be radical acceptance of everyone, right? If we had no judgment, if we could see people for who they were on their journey, and there was a radical acceptance, I think there would be less adversity, less hatred, less war, less misunderstanding. So I'll get my notepad out and start writing those prescriptions, Abigail.
I love that prescription, and I'm going to take it daily. Thank you again.